You are listening to Match Betting Insights, brought to you by OddsMonkey. Welcome to this all-new podcast, available via our official podcast provider, Podbean, and all the other top-class providers such as iTunes, Acast, and TuneIn. Over the coming weeks and months, we are going to be covering all aspects of match betting, and will hopefully become a new piece of jigsaw in your match betting life. Today's podcast is Casino or Not to Casino, and we're going to be chatting all things match betting and casinos. So, as I say, thanks for joining us today. We'd like to have you on board. If you haven't had the chance to try OddsMonkey's premium service yet, then we can give you a little helping hand. We have a sign-up code PODOFFER, PODOFFER, which gets you 10 full days of OddsMonkey Premium for just £1. Gives you access to all the offers and guides and tools to make your match betting life all that bit easier. We'll repeat this again at the end of the podcast, so don't worry if you haven't heard it just yet. So on to today's episode, making his debut on the Insights podcast, I'm delighted to be welcoming Steve from OddsMonkey. Steve T, how are you today?
I'm very well, Graeme. Yourself? Are you well?
Yes, I'm great, Steve. Thank you very much. So, as I said, this is the third in the series. We've already talked life after sign-ups and talking two up. So, if you haven't heard those yet, you can go to one of the podcast providers and catch up. But as I said, today we're talking casinos. And Steve, casinos is a huge topic, isn't it? We've got slot machines, roulette, numerous card games such as blackjack and poker. But we're going to start at the beginning today, aren't we? We're going to ease people into casinos.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take it nice and steady. We'll go through some of the terminology because there's lots of acronyms and things that get bandied around. So hopefully we'll demystify a few of the myths and explain how it all works and why they're worth doing.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning, Steve. So casino offers. When should match bettors be looking at the casinos?
Yeah, the natural flow that I'd recommend really is when you're starting out in match betting is to go through the welcome offers on the bookmakers, because with the welcome offers on the bookmakers, you have sort of guaranteed profits, barring obviously human error. Those are places that you can actually build your bankroll quite quickly and easily to get started. And once you've done that, if you do complete all of the welcome offers on the bookmakers, you're probably going to be sat with a profit of anywhere between £800 to £1,000, something like that. So your bankroll should be at least around that amount, which is great. From there, it's quite an easy transition to then go over to casino. So the easiest place to start would be going on to the casino welcome offers section on OddsMonkey, where even within there are lots of no risk offers, and they are, as it sounds, no risk by virtue of the fact on many of them you don't even have to deposit any money. You just need to register an account, pop your details in, and then they will credit you with some free spins to use on slot machines, or they will give you some free money to place bets with on certain games. You may or may not win. The only thing you're sort of risking on those is your time, but you are getting the exposure and a bit of experience from doing the casino offers. So that would be the starting point.
Because that is the thing, isn't it, about casinos, Steve? I think in terms of the pre-knowledge, people think you have to be an expert in poker or slot machines and stuff, but that isn't the case, is it? And I know for me, Steve, I think in terms of match betting, it can be an advantage not knowing too much, because it takes the emotion out of it, like we've all been in match betting where we've done certain things and we're not keen on backing against a Man City or a Liverpool just because the offer tells us to. But in terms of coming into this casino thing, not having that knowledge and the emotion attached to that, it can almost help when you're match betting, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, it should just be a very functional process. So when it comes to doing sort of the casino offers, they tend to fall into three main types of games that you get offered to play. Those being slot machines, which are similar to like the fruit machines people would see down the local pubs and arcades, etc. You also get offers on roulette tables, and you get offers on blackjack. You do get occasional offers on other games, like you mentioned poker, but not very often. But generally, it falls into three main categories: blackjack, roulette, or slot machines. And whichever one of those three it may be, there's always a strategy, a guide, as it were, on the best way of approaching those offers. And it should just be a functional process of, right, I'm playing blackjack today. This is the rules that I need to follow. Or I'm playing a slot machine. This is how I should do that. And you're taking all the emotion out of it. You're not getting too swept up in the bright flashing lights or anything else that goes on.
And some of the plus points of casino is, although we are match betting and we'll get into it a bit more, there's no laying off, is there? There's no, and you're getting, most of the time, you're getting the credit and the money straight away. So there are some real plus points to casino as well, Steve, aren't there?
Yeah, one of the main plus points, which, you know, I do a lot of casino offers, and I consider this a big plus point for myself, and it tends to be a big plus point for a lot of people, because everybody seems to be busy nowadays. Everyone's got busy lives, and quite often with casino offers, you get an extended period in which you can complete the offer. So it may be that you've got a whole week in which to place the bets and complete the offer. Now, when it comes to some of the match betting on the sports, you may be beholden to a certain time that a horse race begins, certain time that a football match begins, and perhaps you need to place an in-play bet. So, you know, if you're not available during that time, then you're not going to be able to do that offer. Whereas with casino, you can sort of do it at any time during the week. And as you said, more often than not, when you actually, you know, if we just look at it from a match betting point of view, there's generally sort of, you have to do some qualifying bets, you know, so you have to wager some money, which is your qualifying, and then you get your free thing, which comes along. Now, that free thing is generally credited straight away in the vast majority of cases. So yeah, it just allows you to do the offer, and then at the end of it, you know, let's say 5-10 minutes later, you know exactly, right, I've made X amount, or you know exactly where you're at.
Yeah, and obviously in terms of the offers, just like with the sports ones and the match betting, the guides are all there, aren't they? They're telling us how to and what to. But in casino, there's also the additional low risk and high risk terminology as well, Steve. Just briefly talk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're sort of active in the community, you'll see within there are people who talk about doing high risk casino offers, people who talk about doing low risk casino offers. So it's worth sort of emphasising the difference between the two. Obviously, as someone beginning out, the low risk is where anybody should be starting, and on that basis, any of the sort of welcome offers on OddsMonkey are by definition low risk casino offers. All of the sort of ongoing offers that appear on a daily, weekly basis, that appear on the daily offer calendar on OddsMonkey, they're also low risk. You know, if there's the occasional high risk offer, it will have a big warning on it with high risk, and obviously the appropriate instructions. But generally speaking, most things are low risk. So all that's indicating is, if you do attempt an offer and you don't make a profit, you know, as in you either break even or you do make a loss, that loss will be minimal. You know, that qualifying loss will be minimized by virtue of the type of offer that we're playing now. So that's always sort of the case with the offers on OddsMonkey. You know, we tend to focus on the low risk side of things. When it comes to high risk, there is a separate sort of thread running in the community where people discuss those within there. But, you know, the high risk type of offers, that's something for sort of much further down the line in somebody's sort of journey. And those are the type of offers where you can be depositing larger amounts. You know, I'm talking, well, minimum of 50, but you can be talking about, you know, potentially depositing like £200, but you may lose that £200 quite easily, which doesn't sound like great fun. That's not what the offers on OddsMonkey are all about. It's more about the less risky end of the market. So we want to keep people, you know, safe on that point of view.
And that brings us on to the question, which a lot of people, you get this all match betting, but casino particularly, Steve. So why isn't casino doing what we're doing? Why isn't it simply gambling?
Yeah, all comes down to the offers. You know, as with anything match betting. So if we look at it from a match betting point of view, you know, it's still under that umbrella of match betting. We're not just logging onto a site and firing up a slot machine or opening up blackjack and just playing at random. We're only playing these games when there's some sort of incentive, some sort of reward for us to play them, which then, due to some sort of basic maths that are done in the background, that then turns it in our advantage. And when it's in our advantage, that gives us, you know, we'll come onto the terminology as we go, but it gives us a positive expected value. Expected value you'll see on the site quite often reference to EV, But whenever we've got that and it's positive in our favour, that's an offer worth doing. So, it could be that we have to wager £10 on a slot machine, and at the end of that, they may give us some cash, or at the end of that, they may give us a free bet to use on sports, or at the end of that, they may give us some bonus sort of cash to play on that slot a little bit more. But as long as we're getting something free, and we've done a little calculations on it, we'll find out whether, we'll know whether it's a long-term profitable venture for us. So it isn't just straight gambling. We're only ever doing it when we've got something being offered to us.
And that's where we come into the terminology again. There's the house edge and RTP, which you can explain in a second, Steve, isn't it? And the way I've had it explained, Steve, and I think it's easy to understand, is the house edge, which is the advantage the bookmakers, casinos have, is if you played it all your life, you would lose at the casino. That's what house edge is. However, with these added promotions, that's what gives us our advantage back. Is that just about right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. All of the games have an inbuilt house edge. I'll just expand on the couple of bits of terminology that you'll see within offers. So a house edge, every game sort of mathematically has a house edge built within it. So that's the same whether it's roulette, blackjack, or even the slot machines. I mean, the slot machines, their house edge is determined by sort of a random number generator, a bit of software in the background. And these sites are, just to, for people wondering, these sites are audited. For example, like if you go and bet Victor down the bottom, you'll see a little e-cog sign. That's
just because that's just a guarantee, isn't it? If a site does tell you what the house edge and RTP are, there is a sort of guarantee there. It is properly officiated, isn't it? It's not just they're not just saying that and then making it up, are they?
They have to be
officiated.
Yeah, they have to be sort of regulated, obviously by the Gambling Commission. And that, if you look down the bottom, say BetVictor normally has it fairly prominently. I think it's like eCogra. If you click through to there, it'll show you for the last 3-month period what their advised RTPs are, and then what they've actually played out at the over the last however million games. And
RTP again, Steve, just remind us what that is.
Yeah, so we got the house edge, and the other side of that is the RTP, which stands for return to player percentage. So return to player. So the two different things. You've got a game. Let's say
them two always add up to 100%. Is that right, Steve? Them two?
Yeah, that's right.
They'll always add up to the same figure.
Yeah, it's two parts, just two sides of the same coin, so to speak. The house edge is always going to be the smaller amount, or at least it should be if you're playing anything anything sort of worth playing. So if you have a game, in terms of house edges, there's always a house edge, i.e. the house always wins. That's why if you went into, let's say, a bricks and mortar casino on the high street, they're quite happy with you spinning away. Just for example, if I was going to go into a sort of casino and put £1 on a number, for example, on the wheel. So on the wheel, if you go on the sort of, and I put £1 on, let's say, the number 5, if it lands on the number 5, the casino is going to give me £36 back. That's £35 profit for my £1 stake. Sounds great. If you actually look at how many numbers are on the wheel itself, there are 37 numbers, because there's 0 and there's 1 through to 36. So there's 37 numbers. So the most you can get paid out on that type of bet is, £35 profit. So there's those extra 2 numbers there that the casino have. That's always in their edge, over the long term.
Yeah.
You may win that single spin, but if you stayed there and did that £1 bet, 1,000 times, you're probably going to end up being in a losing position, which is, why the casino is happy. Let's, look at it another way. Let's say I put that £1 down on that number 5, and the casino offered me, you wager that £1 and we'll give you £10 cash. Well, hang on a minute, that suddenly sounds quite interesting, and I may win that £1 stake as well. That's how an offer could be structured. But just getting back to the house edge RTP, there's always a house edge built within the way the game's structured. The flip side of it is the RTP. So generally accepted house edges, blackjack has the lowest house edge, therefore the highest RTP. So whenever that's possible to use to play, to complete the wagering for an offer, that's the preferred game sort of choice, really.
Unless I'm playing blackjack,
yeah.
then the house edge goes up to about 95% when I'm playing.
Oh dear. And the house edge generally for blackjack is about 0.5% to 1%. So it's not, very, very small margins for them. When it comes to roulette, again, depending on the variant of roulette, I mean, you're looking at about sort of 2 to 3% as a house edge. Slot machines, a house edge is generally going to be something between it can be, can be anything really, but let's call it between 3 to 8%. So, on blackjack, your house edge, let's say 1% there as a maximum. That means your return to player percentage is 99%. And all that's saying is, if I were to wager, £100 on blackjack, and I've got a 99% RTP, and therefore the house has a 1% house edge. If I wager £100, I expect to be left with £99 after wagering that £100. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it doesn't always pan out that way exactly, but if you did it enough times, a bit like tossing a coin, heads or tails, if you did it enough times, it will come out, close to that, expected outcome.
And I said, and people don't have to worry too much about finding all these themselves, Steve. It is in the guides and the offers. It is all OddsMonkey's done the work for them, essentially, in the guides, etc.
Yeah. When it comes to, knowing whether an offer is worth doing, because something that, people listening will have experienced, depending on how far on they are with their, let's say, journey with it all, they'll be bombarded in the inboxes with casino offers from bookmakers, etc. Please come and play this slot machine. We'll give you free money. As with most things in life, the small print is the key thing to it. And the vast majority of offers that people receive into their inbox are not worth doing when it comes to actually looking at the detail. That's where, obviously, OddsMonkey, do the work there. So they will see an offer, will look into detail, right, what's involved in the offer, right, it has to be played on this specific game, right, then we'll find out what the RTP on that particular game is, run a few little calculations, and if we've got an edge, i.e., we've got that positive expected value, which is, in our favour, then that's the type of offer that gets posted on the site, and then people can go ahead and do that safe in the comfort, knowing they're doing something which, over the long term, is got a positive expected value. Yes, you may attempt an offer today and you don't make a profit on it today, and you may not make a profit on it tomorrow. But if you do the same offer where you've always got positive expected value and you do enough of them, over the long term, you will have a really nice profit there to look back on.
And I say there's lots of guides, extra reading people can do, isn't on site. We've got the casino guides, etc., on EV and RTP on site as well. And there's plenty of extra little reading up on these casino things that people can just expand the knowledge a bit.
Yeah, and before anybody even sort of dives into completing any of the casino offers, I'd recommend that as a first point of sort of call. It is important to have a good read through and just to understand the logistics. Because if you've never played roulette before, you just want to understand, what is it I'm actually betting on? Because there are different things, different places on the table where you can pop your money on. So you want to make sure you're putting it in the right place, or the one that's most advantageous to you. So that, the OddsMonkey guide on roulette tells you which one's the best one for that. If you've never played blackjack before and you've got dealt a certain couple of cards and the dealer has been dealt, a certain card, depending on what those cards are, there is a sort of, there's a mathematical model which has been calculated, which is, far above my pay scale, but it's like, it's been calculated and it tells you if you're holding it, let's say a jack and a 3 and the dealer's showing a 7, it will tell you this is what you should do next. So all you have to do,
it's a good little guide. It's very easy to follow.
Yeah, you just have to follow the guide. You don't have to know anything about it. You just have to, trust in it and basically crack on, really. And then it all becomes, second nature after a while anyway.
And as we're getting into these offers the casino, so people know where to go and know what to look at. There can be differing wagering things, can't there, Steve, in terms of turning bonus into cash. So people have to be aware of those as well. There are varying wagering demands that people need to do.
Yeah, I mean, a big point I'd like to sort of draw attention to, I guess, would be, people should be starting out going onto the sort of welcome offers, before getting onto the reload offers, in my opinion. Now, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of those offers are risk-free, i.e. you just create an account and you get some free money to bet with, and that free money is known as a bonus. That's bonus cash. It's not real cash at the moment. So let's say you've registered an account for free, you've suddenly got £10 of bonus cash within there, and you think happy days, and you can bet with that on any game on there. Now, when you're betting with it, in order to turn that into real cash, there's two things that are either going to happen. Number one is you're going to lose the bonus cash, which is no harm done because it wasn't sort of real money in the first place. Or number two, you complete the wagering required, and at which point that converts into real money, which you can withdraw. Now, to complete the wagering on some of those welcome offers, you might have to wager sort of 99 times the cash they've given you. So if you've been given £10 cash, £10 times 99, £999. That's a lot of it's a lot of money to get through wagering, and in the vast majority of those type of instances, you're gonna lose that bonus cash before you get close to completing the wagering. But again, you've not lost any money. You've only you've lost your time maybe attempting it. However, if you do get through with it, you may be sat there with a profit of 70, 80 quid. Happy days, not bad for free. That's for the welcome offers. So a lot of people do those and they get a little bit disheartened because of the sheer size of the wagering. Yeah. So I wanted to draw, an important sort of line of distinction between that and the type of wagering that applies to the regular ongoing daily offers, because on the regular ongoing daily offers, quite often, Paddy Power tends to have a lot of casino offers each week. They'll say wager £20 on blackjack and we'll give you a £5 of bonus cash to bet with. That bonus cash comes with ×3 wagering. That tends to be so when you see offers with bonus cash associated with them on the site, on the daily offer calendar, etc., they tend to be with a very, very small wagering amount, because if you're playing blackjack, to wager 15 quid to hopefully turn that into real cash is not really a hardship. There's also the vast majority of offers on a daily basis that tend to come out nowadays tend to be sort of, you get free spins. So you get, the offer is you play a certain slot machine, and once you've completed, let's say you need to wager £10, once you've completed wagering that £10, they'll give you, let's say, 10 free spins to play with. When you play with those, anything that you win from those goes into your cash balance, and that tends to be the case on 95% of those type of offers. So yeah, when you're doing a casino welcome offers, lots and lots of wagering can be a bit off-putting, but when it comes to the regular ongoing stuff, it's not quite as onerous, and it's actually a lot easier.
Yeah, and obviously you were talking there about spins and stuff. A lot of people do ask about in the guides. You talk about max lines and min stakes, minimum stakes, etc. Steve, especially when it comes to, well, it is about slots. Just explain that to us a little bit, will you?
Yeah, so any of the sort of slots guides on the site, you'll normally see referenced that we advise people to use sort of maximum lines and minimum stakes. Now, all that's indicating is, when you've got a slot machine, if you've ever seen like one of these fruit machines in the pub, you've got reels, so let's say you've got 5 reels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 5 columns almost, so 5 reels. And then the idea is you're trying to get, a pattern of 3 of the same symbol, or 4 of the same symbol, or 5 of the same symbol, all in a row. So let's say you've got 5 reels, and then you've got 3 rows going across, all showing symbols. Within that sort of grid format, there are what are known as sort of win lines. So, one win line may be the line going straight across the top, the top row, another win line, maybe a line going straight across the middle row, another win line, maybe a line going straight across the bottom row, and then from there, any sort of variation of patterns. If you started in the top left corner, it may then be a zigzag crossing across from left to right, a zigzag pattern. If you get 3 symbols in a row in any one of these lines, you get a win. Now, on a slot machine, you may have, let's say, 20 win lines, you may have 25 win lines. By default, when you open a slot machine up, the slot machine is going to be set to the maximum number of win lines, just by default, because the more win lines you play, the more it costs you to play the game. Therefore, obviously, the casino bookmaker, they want you to be spending as much money as possible. So by default, they will be defaulted to that, unless you've previously altered it down for some reason, but that's very seldom, very rarely going to happen. So you can almost sort of discount that, but just, as a general thing, but it's obviously worth emphasizing, just in case you ever do alter any of them. Now, when it comes to the minimum stakes, that's the most important sort of point, really. So by default, let's say you've got 20 win lines, so 20 patterns across this sort of grid, across these reels. There's 20 different sort of combinations in which your symbols can fall for you to win. You've got 20 win lines. It may be that when you open the slot machine up, that it's defaulted to 10 pence, a 10 pence bet per line. So if you've got 20 win lines, 10 pence bet per line, that means it's going to cost you £2 per spin. Now, if that had defaulted, let's say to £1 per line, it could be, £20 per spin. It doesn't tend to come in like that. That's silly though. However, when you're starting out, you don't want to be betting sort of £2 per spin. You want to be keeping the stakes down as low as possible. So the lower the stakes you can use, the more spins it takes you to complete the wagering, and that lowers the variance. So it's sort of helping you to minimise your potential losses. So what you want to do is get that 10 pence per line, and just there'll be a little button next to it, plus or minus. Just press the minus on any of it'll say sort of the value per line, and if you just press the minus button, that'll take that down, and you can get it down to normally like 1 pence per line. Then it'd be 20 pence a spin. It just means that when it comes to doing the qualifying wagering, you've got a much smoother run, and keeps if you do have a loss, it keeps your losses down.
Cool, and that's obviously saying that comes into the do's and don'ts. Well, the good behaviour. It's having the discipline, isn't it? And there are a few do's and don'ts as well. Any real golden rules as to the do's and don'ts for these casino things? Obviously, like all match betting, you have to be disciplined to a certain degree. But is there any real do's and don'ts with casino that you need to let people know?
Yeah, I mean the simplest thing would just be don't chase. Don't chase losses, things like that. But
that should be a motto for everyone's life. That's a motto for life, isn't it? Don't chase your losses, Steve.
Absolutely, yeah. But it should be a very functional process, and there's that many casino offers that once you get into it, you should be quite busy actually trying to do all the offers. So there shouldn't be any time for sort of messing about trying to do anything sort of too daft or too risky with it. So when it comes to playing sort of these games, if you've got to wager £20 on a particular offer, and you're using, let's say, 20 pence spins, then on most of the games, which is actually quite a nice little tip, I guess, on most of the games, there's sort of always pretty much an autoplay function. So you can just click that autoplay function, and you can choose to do 100 spins at 20 pence each. That's £20. And that machine, you just click start, and then you can go away, have a cup of tea, whatever you want, and that's going to play the machine. Now, if you come back and you've finished, £4.60 down, for example, and maybe you watch the last 6-7 spins, and all 6-7 spins lost, don't fall into that gambler's mindset of thinking, oh well, it's just lost the last 6 or 7 spins, so I'm due to win the next spin.
It's due to pay out. It's due to pay out.
Yeah. That does not come into this, at all. So all you've got to focus on is right. What have I got to do for my wagering? Just do that and stop right there. The other things that you can stay away from, come back to what we were talking about a minute ago in terms of keeping the variance down. Let's say I've got an offer where I need to wager £10 on a slot machine. Now, you could do that by doing 50 20-pence spins. Now, if you have a bad sort of little spell on that, it's going to sort of even out. It's going to go up and down a little bit like a roller coaster. It's going to go up and down, up and down, up and down as it goes along. You win a few, you lose a few. If I decided, actually, I don't have time, I want to get through this wagering really quickly, I could do 2 £5 spins. All I'm doing there is really increasing my variance. I might, I could hit a big win and I think I'm the bee's knees. In reality, I'm probably going to lose both spins and I finish £10 down. Whereas if I did the 50, 20-pence spins, I might finish £1.50 down.
Yeah, I think people can't chase these. We'll see it on the forum. The forum loves the casino offers. There's loads of people talking about it. Please check it out, everyone. But you will every now and then see some really big wins, which is great for everyone involved, and it's great when they do it. But you can't go chasing them. It is what it is. It's luck of the draw, isn't it, with these spins sometimes. If you get one, great, but you can't go in expecting to hit these, which some people might.
Yeah, this is very much a volume-based activity. The same with anybody doing, like you were talking about in the podcast a few weeks back, anyone doing the 2-up offers, basically anyone doing any of these regular ongoing offers, the ones which have potential profit, which you'll see on the daily offer calendar. Any of these type of offers, whether it's casino, horse racing, 2-ups or footballs or tennis or whatever it may be, the vast majority are potential profits. And on that basis, you've got 2 things that you need to do that are important. Number one, you need to make sure you're using the right sort of strategy, which is going to help you minimize any potential losses whilst hopefully maximizing return. And then number 2, once you're doing that right, you've just got to commit to the volume. So yes, you may do your first 4, 5, 6 casino offers and not make a profit on any. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It's just that is such a small sample size. You need to be looking back once you've done, 2, 3, 400.
Yeah, it's long term. It's like all the match, it's a long term thing. You're not going to be hitting the thousands and hundreds. It's all about long term, longevity, isn't it? Especially with casino, because these offers are in casino. These offers are so prevalent, aren't they? They're everywhere, and you get more casino offers than anything else, I think, judging by the emails. And it is about longevity, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of longevity, I mean, in my opinion, but who knows, I may be wrong, but in my opinion, I don't think that attempting casino offers does any harm to your, let's say if you've got a Paddy Power account, for example, I don't think doing casino offers on Paddy Power does any harm to your sportsbook profile with them, because ultimately, I believe that most sports books want you to start playing in the casino because that's where they make more profit. Let's be cynical. They make more profit per head from people in the casinos than they do sort of generally in the book, the bookmakers side of the operation. So
you can see that, can't you, from sometimes people who might lose the odd spot and book account with the bookmaker. You're still allowed in the casino, aren't you? So the casinos are very much open for business. And so in terms of this sense, the casino, a lot of people are new to it. The ones we're talking to now particularly, but casinos could be a real income in its own right, isn't it? This could be a match betting life from here. You can really just do casinos and make a very healthy profit in match betting terms.
Yeah, as long as you commit to as long as you're doing those 2 things, as long as you're doing it, you're approaching the strategy in the right way, and basically, all you've got to do is follow the strategy laid out on the OddsMonkey site for each offer. So as long as you do that, and then as long as you commit to doing the volume, you don't stop after, you don't do 2 and decide that, it doesn't work. It does work. You just need to give the value the time to come out. But, certainly, I mean, I've done casino offers, predating OddsMonkey, to be honest. I've done them for, a long time. I'm going to say at least 15, 16 years.
Since the start of computers themselves, Steve.
Pretty much, yeah. I used to have to crank it up with a crankshaft, yeah. I think, possibly even back on dial-up internet. I'm not sure, but
wow, going back,
yeah, it used to take a while. But the point being, I've done it. I've done it for many years, and the little benefit of experience there is that I've made a profit every single year from doing these type of offers. So the longevity is certainly there, and that that's not.
It's getting in there, isn't it? Don't be afraid of casino. I think casinos, even in real life, when you walk through the doors, and even on the internet, it can be very intimidating, can't it? But once you get in there, you follow the guides and the rules. It can be very simplistic, can't it? If you follow the rules, follow the guides, take the emotion out of it, it is pure match betting, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And like I say, it should be. People should, as much as possible with this, try and make it as functional as possible. And you mentioned a couple of times, take the emotion out of it. Things you can do if you wish when you're playing things like the slot machines. Because what I will do, for example, I don't advise this when you're first starting out, but once you're in sort of a bit of a groove with it, is if there's 3 or 4 slots offers available, I'll open one slot machine on one website, and I'll set the autoplay running on that machine. I'll open another browser window up and I'll set that one running. What you can do on all of these sites is just mute the sound, for example, so you don't have to get suckered in to anything. The bright flashing lights that, they've all got lovely music and all, special effects and everything. Just press mute and just click them spinning, leave them playing. You don't even have to watch them. If you set your autoplay running, it's what's going to happen is going to happen on that particular offer. But, take the emotion out of it. Don't get dragged in.
I say, hopefully too many people haven't muted us so far here, Steve. And we're getting towards the end now. Again, I'd just like to say, everyone in the community in the forum, we do post in there about the podcast coming up and when we're about to record, any questions coming in. Thanks again for everyone who's been in touch about everything. And we have a question from forum, Steve, from Richard, in terms of keeping track of casino profits. Do you keep them separate? He's wondering, he's just getting started. And this is an interesting subject, and that some people combine them, see it as all one big profit. Some people keep sports and casinos separate. Any views on that particularly, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be whatever's right for the person listening is the right thing for them. For me personally, I mean, the records that I keep, I just use a very simple spreadsheet. I have done for years. If I was starting out again now, I would probably use the sort of the profit tracker and OddsMonkey, for example, because it's a good bit of kit. If you're using the profit tracker on a daily basis for your general sort of sports match betting, when you're using the odds match and things like that, you can go onto the profit tracker. You can create a manual entry and you can enter your casino results in there.
It might be a good tactic, find that when you're first doing casino, keep a separate one just so you can see the profit and keep track of how well it's doing and stuff. It might be a good indication early doors, mightn't it?
I always recommend, if the question is, should you keep a record of your results from the casino offers, then 100%, absolutely, yes, you should. As to whether you want to keep that on a separate sort of area, that's a personal choice. But you should definitely want to make sure that what you're essentially swapping some of your time to make some money. So you just want to make sure that it all sort of pans out. Which if you're doing it the right way and committing to the volume, it will.
Cool. Well, that's great, Steve. Thanks for joining us again, Steve. We'll be back again with another podcast on casino, perhaps getting a bit more in details on each of the different subjects within that. But again, thanks for joining us there. And just to remind you all of this offer, we've got OddsMonkey's premium service. You can get 10 full days for just £1. If you sign up using our offer, POD or FFER pod offer, you can get, as I say, OddsMonkey's premium service, just £1, which includes the profit tracker and all sorts of guides and brilliant stuff in there. So that's it from me and Steve today. Thank you, and we'll be back for another podcast in a few weeks' time.